Black Chicago residents are fed up, and you won't believe what they had to say in this city council meeting that looks strikingly similar to the meetings that we see in Dolton. Let's check it out in today's edition of the Go Political Breaking News. What's up, everyone? This is Carlton Flowers with the Go Political channel. In today's breaking news, we're going to check out some shocking action happening in my birth town of Chicago. Many of you know that I was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, and we are seeing something very interesting happening right now within the Black community that is fed up to here with what Mayor Brandon Johnson has been doing with the budget and ignoring the needs of the people who are paying the taxes. Now, trigger alert, some people are going to be upset with some of the things that these residents say, but I would like to ask you to please watch the video to the end and give them a chance to speak their concerns, especially those of you that are loyal Democrats. It's okay. If you're a Democrat, give them a chance and hear them out, because these are former Democrats who feel that they have been railroaded time and time again by the Democrat mayor of Chicago. And it's not just this mayor, it's many mayors in the past who have also ignored the needs, the plight of the Black residents who are paying taxes and keeping the city of Chicago going. Now, this video is going to cover some shocking things like corruption, excessive taxation, massive debt, and also race baiting. So we're going to check out what's happening right now in this meeting. We're going to hear what a few of the residents had to say. And again, it's going to be a little shocking, but I want you to give them a chance. Hear them out before you turn a deaf ear to it. Let them speak and see if you can understand what they are feeling from their point of view. So we're going to start with the first speaker who speaks at practically every city council meeting, and she's going to talk about some corruption that's going on within the city council as her needs have been ignored by those who stepped forward and said that they were going to help. So let's cut to this clip here and react to it.
So it has already been determined that you don't follow the United States Constitution. And maybe that's perhaps because you're not a founding father and your name is not on the document. So perhaps if we show you something that your name is on, maybe you'll follow those rules. We got a rules of order and procedure, City Council, City of Chicago, for 2023 to 2027 with your name on it. However, we sit in here all the time and watch you violate our rights. Right. We sit in here all the time and watch you allow city council to violate our rights. Now we're going to talk about this budget, about the strange things that's happening. Because again, your name was on this executive order of May 2023. This executive order for immigration, migrants, and refugee rights. You caused all this money to go to illegal immigrants, not Harold Washington. You going to be held accountable for it. And we want a forensic audit of the money that was spent on illegal immigration. You all are trying to do everything but that, when in fact, that's where all the money went. So anything that you all pass, it's not genuine. It's not honest. Because you're trying to cover up where our money actually went. Now, it's been some strange voting going on. Let's talk about the fact that Talaferro and Sergio Lopez, got extra money. Could it be because Byron Sergio Lopez wrote a letter on my behalf to help with my case? and so did Taliaferro. Could it be that they were told that they could get more votes if they blew my case? Whoa. Now, let's look at Alderman David Moore, who have been in here and listened to me talk about my probate all the time and haven't done anything. Could it be he planning a seminar with Lori and them, while at the same time selling me out? Because he's supposed to be getting a field house for his ward. We got something for you. Fridays, famous Friday, and we got another one. This is Chicago Flip Red. Chicago Red got you too. You got Chicago Red and you got Chicago Flip Red, and both of us getting that. So now, who's gonna be famous Friday? Who are this name real fast? Carlos Ramirez Rosa. Yeah!
Thank you very much for your comments. However, your time has expired.
Okay, so we heard some interesting things there from this speaker, where she is mentioning that she's got apparently a lawsuit that's going on, and there were some city council members standing up for her, and then they backed out. So she's holding the letters in her hand. But then, because of maybe a little bit of corruption going on in the background, someone's paying them to back off. And someone, as she mentioned, I won't say the name, is trying to get a building constructed in their ward. And so they were probably told, hey, if you want to get the construction on this building, you better back off of this lawsuit. So corruption happening that overtakes the will of the people. That's pretty sad. Now we're going to go to this next speaker, and this one is going to get into the excessive taxation. Now this is a really good point that this gentleman makes. So let's jump in. We're going to fast forward to the 6-minute mark, and I'll leave the link to this video so you can watch it all, because I'm skipping over a couple speakers. But let's jump to the 6-minute mark. Here we go.
Say that out loud. But let's go ahead and talk about history repeating itself. Let's talk about taxation. Chicago has a tax for everything. Water tax, grocery tax, tourist tax, hotel tax, bag tax, liquor tax, cigarette tax, the highest sales tax in the country by far, parking tax, surcharge of downtown parking, property lease tax, and streaming tax. The only thing that you all don't have a tax for yet is oxygen tax. And the only reason why you don't have a tax for that just yet is because you ain't figured out how to do it yet. But let me not speak too soon, because you probably might actually think it's a good idea and you're gonna try to write it down. So let's go ahead and talk about, let's not forget about the good old sugar tax. Y'all remember y'all used to back in 2016 and you go to your favorite grocery store and you buy your favorite 24-pack of pop? Well, you paying more taxes on that pop than what the actual cost of it is. What you didn't know is that your buddy Brandon Johnson voted for that sugar tax. So it's not a surprise that he wants to pour a $40 million line of credit and put the city in even more debt than what we already are with the $1.2 billion deficit. But it's your fault that because you gave half the money to illegals. Also, it's lazy government is what you call it. So let's not forget that we got to watch these politics. And I was at that Board of Czar meeting. And Tom Homan said out of his mouth that it is illegal to harbor and conceal illegal aliens. So like I told you before, that you ain't going to blink, well, we ain't going to flinch either. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing. All you illegals, you ain't going to have no Merry Christmas. You're going to have a Merry Deportation Christmas.
Okay, wow. He mentioned some key things there. Obviously, he's fed up. So we heard him talking about this $40 million line of credit that the mayor is trying to pass while they're sitting on a $1.2 billion deficit. That's sad. That is very sad. But he's still pushing to get more money. Going into debt, paying high interest. They already voted down. He tried to get a measure passed where they would get a $300 million short-term loan that has high interest without explaining how they plan on paying it back. But what does he want to spend this money on? keeping the city going because he already spent $500 million on illegal immigrants. Now, in a video I did in the past, I told you about how there's a company from Kansas that got 300 million of that $500 million. I don't even want to imagine what the kickbacks were for the 2 contracts that he gave, where the majority of that money went for illegals. All right, now the best one. I'm saving the best for last. We're going to go to the 11-minute mark, 11 minutes and 45 seconds. So this gentleman has a lot to say, so let's jump ahead here and play the last one. And at the end of this speaker, the meeting is going to devolve, and it's going to look just like what happens in Dolton in the good old days when every meeting ended in chaos. So let's check it out.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
You spent over $574 million on illegal immigrants here in Chicago, Illinois since 2022. Now, you still feel like you have to harbor these illegals, which is not a good idea. And in my personal opinion, I don't think it's a good idea to challenge Tom Homan on this because he's trying to clean up our cities, Mr. Brandon Johnson. Now, let me just remind everybody here that Brandon Johnson is terrible with the budget. How is this $40 million credit line is going to work exactly? Because the key word is credit. So how much will we be using from this $40 million? And the real question is, how much will we be paying back? Now, you want to sit here, you and J.B. Pritzker want to puff out your chest and fight Tom Homan. We need Tom Homan here in Chicago. We need Donald Trump. And I don't want to see people like Pam Bundy and Kash Patel, you know, haul you up out of here and become prosecuted. I don't want to see that happen. But they will do their job if they have to, Brandon Johnson. Now, we are $1 billion in debt. That's absolutely insane. Kamala Harris, she spent $1 billion on her campaign less than a year, and she's $20 million in debt. So it's looking like Democrats are bad with money. Now, you ignored me for 10 to 15 seconds last time I was speaking, and I really did not appreciate that at all. But I got a Christmas present for you. Let's remind the people of Chicago that Brandon Johnson spent $32,000 in campaign funds on haircuts and makeup. So I got an early Christmas present for you, Brandon Johnson. This is some makeup for you right here. You got some rouge, you got the makeup brush right there, so you can save this people some money, for crying out loud. Now, let me tell you people, I'm going to be serious here. We need to start voting different in these cities like New York and Chicago. Stop voting these people in. It's not Democrat versus Republican anymore. It is populist versus establishment. It is the populist versus the establishment. Stop letting them trick you into the race baiting when it comes to Brandon Johnson. Oh, black people need help too. Trump want to hurt black people. What are you talking about? We're legal here. We are legal. Now, I'm trying to be nice about this, and Mr. Brandon Johnson, I do respect you in a little bit of way because you're trying the best that you can. I really want to believe that, but listen, man, you got a 14% approval rating, so the people is looking like they're telling you that you're fired, man. So I'm just humbly asking you, Brandon Johnson, to please come up with something that's reasonable by the end of this year, because I don't want to see a government shutdown, Mr. Brandon Johnson. Please do your job. I don't care if you're black. Chicago needs to get rid of DEI. I don't care if you're black. Can you do the job? Can you do the job, Mr. Brandon Johnson? And it's looking like you can't do the job. So please don't fail us.
Thank you very much for your comments. Your Honor, there are no further speakers who have timely signed up for the public comment period.
Very well, thank you. Okay. Sergeant at Arms, please restore order. Sergeant at Arms, please remove these individuals from the chambers.
What does this remind you of, guys? What does this remind you of? Instead of Tiffany Henyard, you've got Brandon Johnson, but it's the same thing. Okay, this is going to go on for another 2 to 3 minutes before they can even get the meeting back under control. 2 or 3 more minutes of this madness. This is just how it happens in Dolton. Only difference is you have a more articulate mayor rather than the one who speaks street language.
Thank you. This chamber will come back to order. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's just pause that. Wow, that's craziness. But obviously the people are fed up. They're absolutely fed up. And the gentleman that spoke made several key points that we need to talk about real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. So he mentioned the $545 million spent on illegal immigrants. Okay, so even if they were documented using the download app that the Biden White House provided for illegals so that they could skirt the law and call themselves documented, it doesn't make a difference. Because even if they were documented, is it fair that a city that at the time was already $200 or $300 million in debt, that was already underserving the black population, that was already telling residents, we don't have enough money for your neighborhoods, for your parks, and for the resources that would serve your children, from a city that is already in crisis because their school system is utterly failing, okay? Already. That was already in existence. But is it fair that they put $545 million in for illegal immigrants to make sure that they have housing, that they have food that is specifically what they're used to from their culture, that they can get a business license overnight and not have to jump through the same hoops to be able to start up a business on the street and not abide by the same rules that everyone else does? Is it fair that they can come in as undocumented illegal immigrants and be guaranteed jobs and allowed to work in factories, even allowed to work on the police force, while the black community is told, I'm sorry, it's not in the budget. We can't build your new parks. We can't redo your schools. We can't help your neighborhoods. Does that make any sense? I don't know. But this is why they're fed up. This is why they're fed up. And you heard him say something that I've been saying for a long time. This is not a Democrat versus Republican thing, okay? Because as I've said time and time again, the Democrats of today are not your parents' Democrats. They have a completely different agenda. And that agenda is to railroad over U.S. citizens, the ones who are paying the taxes. The gentleman before this, you heard him talk about the excessive taxes in the city of Chicago, the highest sales taxes in the nation. This is one of the most liberal cities in the United States. It's hard to make a living in the city of Chicago with such high taxes. They have some of the worst property taxes, real estate taxes. It's insane. And then the mayor who promised, who ran, stating, I will not raise your real estate tax. We are not going to raise taxes. What did he do? He came out of the gate. He puts down $500 million for illegals who don't pay taxes, who are let loose in the city and given everything, served on a silver platter, and then he turns around and tries to raise the taxes of the citizens who are being ignored. This is why the black community is fed up. So what has this Democrat mayor done for the black community? What has the governor of Illinois, Pete, what's his name? Pretzel, I always forget his first name. I want to say Pete. It's J.B. Pretzel eating Pritzker. What has he done for the black community? What has been successful over the last 2 decades? The school system is only getting worse. The debt is only getting deeper. The black community is crumbling. The infrastructure is crumbling. So can you blame them for starting a group called Chicago Flips Red? Can you blame them? Can you give them a little bit of understanding without being triggered, okay, when they're critical of the Democratic Party. You also heard this gentleman state that the Kamala Harris campaign spent $1 billion. It was actually $2 billion. So they spent more money than what the city of Chicago is in debt. This is the most indebted city in the United States of America. And the Kamala Harris campaign spent double of that on a failed election bid. But we'll just leave that alone. But can you understand how irritated that the black people are? Now, don't cut them down. I know some people get triggered and upset and just, they're foaming at the mouth, just seething whenever they hear anything that's critical of the Democratic Party. When we need to take a step back and think about this. I'm not saying that you need to vote Republican, but they're not saying that either. But can you blame them? They want Tom Homan to come in and stop the madness, to stop the damage, and to protect them and their hard-earned income to where their taxes are being spent on what they're supposed to be spent on. The honest, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens and not the illegal immigrants that obviously the majority of people in Chicago are not for. He has a 14% approval rating. So when are they going to recall this clown of a mayor? I don't know. It may happen. I know there's been talks in the past. But what is the benefit now that the election is over? What's the benefit in pushing for the illegals at this point? I don't know what it is. Is it for votes? Does he think that he can get these people voting so that he can win a re-election bid? Maybe that's the reason. I don't understand how he would abandon his own race, abandon the entire black community, and sell out to the illegals, to sell out to people coming from other nations. Now, I'm not against immigration, but I am for doing it in a legal way. And I'm also for listening to the people who are paying the taxes and allowing them to have a say in how we go about it. Okay, so there's many, many problems in the city of Chicago, and these black residents want the attention put on the black community and not handed over to the illegals. You also heard him mention DEI. Is DEI harming the black community? This is supposed to be helping. But what we see happening, much in the same way that it did in Dolton, DEI was the idea to put Tiffany Henyard into office. Well, we need a black female mayor. How did that work out? Without looking at the credentials, the background, without considering the track record. But DEI was the reason why she got into power. DEI is why the last two governors were placed into power in the city of Chicago. But then what good is DEI if we force these people into power because it's the right thing to do, and then they turn around and abandon the very race of people that DEI was set up to benefit? Where's the DEI in giving $545 million to illegal immigrants while ignoring the plight of black people? I would love to hear your comments on that. I really want to know. And again, please be respectful in the comments. I don't want you to pop off and just insult the intelligence of anyone for speaking things like, hey, we want Tom Homan to come in and clean up this mess. Don't get triggered because we heard people say positive things about Donald Trump. I know that there are people out there who are extremely Trump deranged. TDS is a real thing. They've even got medication out there now. There's some commercials that talk about medication for TDS. I know that's a real thing, but can you blame them? What else are they supposed to do? What else are they supposed to do? You've got Donald Trump saying, I'm going to come in and put a stop to this, and I'm going to send my guy, border czar Tom Homan, in to run these people out of town and to stop your mayor from wasting up all your tax dollars. So how can you be mad at that? I'd love to hear your comments about that. I'm looking forward to the comments coming from you people down below. And we're going to be reporting on this again. We're going to keep covering Dolton and Tiffany Henyard and the educated Tiffany Henyard, who goes by the name of Brandon Johnson. So that's all for this one. Thank you for watching, and I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe. Tick the notification bell. Stay here. Stay in the conversation. You're all welcome. Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, independents, liberals. You're all welcome here so we can talk this through in a logical manner, an educated manner, without cussing and fussing and foaming at the mouth and going completely bananas. Let's have an intelligent discussion about it. This is Carlton, and I am out.